how we roll, man. Some rock, some win, some 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 win, man. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some roll. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some win. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some roll, man.
Over the past few weeks, the battle for the PCA UCR Sim Racing Championship has been intensifying with several crazy moments, crazy starts, and crazy battles amongst the mid-pack. But today, it's time to crown a champion. It's round 8 of the season, and it takes us to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park to close out the campaign here on FTFGG. Welcome to PCA UCR Sim Racing, presented by Justin Research and Performance. Justin Prince alongside Chad Irvine tonight, along with Zach Johnson in the producer seat for this evening's action from Mosport. We're currently in Bowmanville, Ontario, a track very well known for many of these members and their drivers, as they look to try and close out the season with a successful run here tonight at a place very familiar to them. It's going to be interesting in that, Mark, how these drivers perform tonight as we take a look now as these drivers continue qualifying towards your championship standings, because let's summarize how things have fared out and want your opinion on this, chat, because 20 points the differential between Christopher Stiles and Joe Sinclair Jr. However, based on calculations performed by our producer, Zach Johnson, essentially he's in a situation to clinch where, as long as nothing drastic happens, he can basically just start the race, win the title from this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been such a dominant season from Christopher Stiles, and he's earned the right to just kind of lay back and just kind of take things easy throughout tonight's event. Can't wait to see what he does. I've been told that he's very fast and very can keep the car under him very well, especially just having fun around other guys. So can't wait to see what he can pull off in the race. But we still have some tight battles all throughout the field for trying to improve in the point standings.
You mentioned that there. Keep in mind, Joe Sinclair Jr. still not out of the woods for the battle for second. Terrence Ton, Ben Leon, Patrick Adamczyk, all, along with John Martin, have a chance to try and uproot one another in those positionings. Qualifying is currently underway for those tuning in for the first time for this series. It is a 35-minute race format, and they are in the midst of 10-minute open qualifying. They have a 50% fuel limit, which means they are required to take a pit stop. And for this track, strategy is going to be very intriguing in turn, Chad, how it's played out, especially with how these races have performed.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for some of these guys is it's not the easiest pit road to get down safely. If you want to try to take it at speed or as fast as you possibly can, but not only do you have to get in quick, but you can't get a speeding penalty. You have to keep yourself out of the wall, and it's going to be all about, for some of these guys, just minimizing their mistakes and trying to work their way up through the field, because a lot of the guys in our championship hunt, or in the hunt for second at least, are all right there on top of each other. We even have a tie for the 4th spot down to the 1,000th of a second between Joe Martin and Joe Sinclair.
What's getting towards that mark, because Christopher Stiles does have the current pole time with 1:15.198. Nicky Chan has ran part-time this campaign, the 000 tonight, currently second. Adamczyk is currently third. Then there's that tie between Martin and Sinclair Jr. Ben Leon rounding out the top 6 currently on the qualifying speed charts. And keep in mind, the in-sim time currently just past 9 a.m. on iRacing Day, May 15th, 2021. Eventually that will turn towards 2022 in about a day's time, in theory. It's partly cloudy skies as well tonight, with 66 degrees Fahrenheit the air temp, 74 track temperature, default wind, 53% humidity, so fairly cool racetrack as per the tradition with these races this campaign.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to watch how this track progresses as the race goes on. As we get later into the day, might see some extra heat built into it, and that's going to make things a little bit slicker for some of these guys, make it a little more interesting out there. But right now, it's just all Christopher Styles in qualifying.
Styles has been very quick all throughout the campaign. He's won multiple races, but of course, when it comes to this season and the past couple races, the start will be also very critical. The past two races have had crashes coming to the green flag. Knowing that, how do you try and play more careful for this one as we look to close out qualifying this time around for these drivers?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing for these guys is knowing that, hey, this is what's happened the last couple of times. You need to be a little more cognizant of what's going on around you. Do everything you can to, A, leave yourself an escape route, and B, take it if you have to, because if you put yourself in a hole early on, it takes a lot of work to climb back out of it.
This time around, Christopher Styles will end off his qualifying, still looking to push ahead more on the speed charts. That time at 1:15.5, not quick enough to bump his current pole time, which is still in the 1:9.8. Last of the drivers coming across the track will be Terrence Tawn, who is in 7th, looking to bump that up, not able to do so in the 1:16 lap time bracket. Two other drivers will come across the stripe to close things out. One is a newcomer who's now peeling on in, the other just spun out. So this newcomer for today, very new to the service from our understanding. How about a week plus when it comes to some of the drivers today, including this machine, the 25. So we'll see how Stefan Uriadka does as qualifying comes to a close. With that, it's time to take a look at how your starting grid will line up for the final time this season. As we get ready to go racing, a full pace lap around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Christopher Styles starts the pole tonight alongside Nicky Chan. Patrick Adamczyk starts in 3rd today with John Martin in 4th. He tied with Joe Sinclair Jr. Joe Sinclair Jr. to the 10,000th of a second. Will start 5th. Ben Leon in 6th, Terrence Todd 7th, Paul Neto starts in 8th, Adam Holland and John Montgomery round out your top 10 tonight. Mr. QCAS.
And in the 11th spot, it's Robert Bowman there with a time of 1:16.551. He's going to be on the inside there, row number 6, with Derek Dirksen on his outside. Peter Roth and Jonathan Reber make up row number 7, and Stefan Uriadka wrapping up the field here, starting shotgun 15th today's event.
Let's look top to monitor your running order. All the drivers have made their way to the starting grid for tonight's action. Again, one pace lap to get themselves up to speed before the 35-minute race. One pit stop is expected. Furthest drivers can go on fuel is about 30 minutes. So with that, your keys to victory for tonight to close out what has been an entertaining season.
It's pretty simple, I think, for a lot of these guys that still have everything to fight for in the championship standings. Of course, that number 1 spot overall seems to be locked up by Mr. Styles, but for everybody else, it's just about putting yourself in a position where you can capitalize on somebody else's mistake and making sure that you don't make one yourself. And as I mentioned earlier, that pit stop is going to be critical.
And the reason we keep mentioning that is coming into tonight, there was the 20-point difference between 1st and 2nd. But if you take the drop out of the factor, Joe Sinclair Jr. has one missed race on the season. Styles has a drop of 14 points. So the max coming into tonight for Styles without scoring a point, mind you, would be 150. If Sinclair Jr. was to score a max of 25, he wouldn't be able to reach that total based on the rough estimates. In our words, Styles, basically, it's a matter of looking to close things out properly based on the math and based on how tonight could fare out. As long as he takes the screen without any trouble, he can basically put the crown right on top of his head.
Can't wait to watch this event as these guys work their way down the long Mario Andretti straightaway. Going to build up so much speed, and drafting is going to be huge for these guys as they work their way down towards the S's.
Can't wait to see how things play out tonight. Who do you feel we need to watch out for the most? Because we've talked a bit about Styles, of course, his dominance. I know you're new to some of the action here, but who caught your eye based on what you've seen in practice?
I think Joe Sinclair is going to be the one to watch. He's holding on right now to that 2nd spot in the championship, and he's got so much that he can he's got a couple cars ahead of him that he can use to get around them and try to put a little bit of ground between himself and Terrence Tong and Ben Long behind him.
iRacing safety car is now pulling off. The drivers getting ready to go racing for PCA UCR Sim Racing for the final time this campaign. iRacing safety car coming off this time into White's corner. Held in the hands of Christopher Stiles. The green flag is out. We're underway for the final time this season. And a very clean start here at a very familiar track to these drivers. Near contact though for second already. Adam Check trying to get his way around as they go to the very tough, very treacherous Clayton corner.
And some guys trying
there
to make it side by side. There is some contact there. And going wide is the 407.
Adam Check is in the wall. The 407 slams the tire wall. And this time it didn't happen right at the green flag, but it happened a couple corners after. John Martin is up to second, Sinclair Jr. to third. Stiles is already ahead by nearly 3 seconds.
Fortunately for Adam Check, it was a very glancing blow. Hopefully there's not too much steering damage to the car, but that splitter is bent up quite a bit.
Derek Dirksen also had some problems, ended up, believe, starting towards the back of the field. Now is in 15th, way out of the draft. As we take a look at them drown the Mario Andretti straightaway. The first time for tonight's action. 2.7 seconds is the gap. As here's the look. Joe Sinclair Jr. trying to close things out. Over the race radio, Paul Netto very optimistic about that start, especially the fact that just about everybody made it through clean for the first lap.
And Stiles is pulled away, as you mentioned, to a considerable margin, but a bunch of guys back behind still trying to fight their way through. Paul Netto, we see him in a gaggle of cars. He's kind of towards the back of that train we're looking at now, and this big freight train is not going to break itself up very easily, because once you get to that long Mario Andretti straightaway, it's going to catch everybody right back together.
Keep in mind that Netto in particular is still trying to close up to the draft from 6th. Looking at the run, meanwhile, for Joe Sinclair Jr. He's trying to build that up all while that's going on behind. Speaking of cars going on behind, how about Adam Holland mowing the grass this time?
So he's got to keep this place looking in top shape during the offseason. Cutting the grass a little bit, getting everything ready for the offseason, and hopefully these guys are back for next time around to have more fun and put on some more great shows for us here.
There's been a lot of great battles along the mid-pack, especially when it comes to this racing the past couple weeks or so. As we take a look at some of that battling now for second. John Martin defending inside, heading towards the S's this time. No pass from Joe Sinclair Jr. Closing back on up, meanwhile. Nicky Chan. A little bit of right side damage nearly to the back bumper this time to Ben Leon.
Yeah, very optimistic move. Trying to go around the outside was Sinclair. Could not get it done. And he's still right there. Now he's got to feel the pressure from Lung behind him as well in that 290 machine.
And that's one of the tough things when it comes to a track like this. It's not easy to make a pass. Yes, there's the Mario Andretti straightaway. Yes, there's the Dralanone for White's corner. And the mistakes that come up in Clayton corner. But now these drivers will have to dodge a car because Joe Sinclair Jr. has spun it out. He clipped the grass, and he's got damage as a result. To the back of the field goes Sinclair.
Wow. That was a costly mistake for him, losing a ton of time. When is he going to... He's finally able to get things going once again, but man, that was such an unexpected error from Sinclair. He'd been running so solid all night long.
The early going, yes, but here's the look of the replay. Watch the corner exit too wide coming out of Quebec quarter.
Barely caught the grass and barely got clipped by one of... I think that was Leung in the...
Yes.
290, yeah, so barely clipped there. Might not be too much damage. We're gonna have to wait and see how this breaks up that little pack that we were just watching.
So about 4 minutes now into the action, estimated 25 laps to go. This time around, Stiles leads by 5 seconds after 3 laps completed. That guy's an alien, let's put it that way, as Leon tries to close up despite the damage. And we've seen in this series some drivers, based on their talent, can overcome that aero damage compared to, say, at the pro level where you get aero damage, good luck.
Yeah, I don't see much more than maybe a couple of scrapes on the nose of that car, so he might have gotten away with it. Just have to see how things play out, what happens to his lap times here. as he continues to try to hunt down John Martin. He's got a little bit of room to catch up, and Martin almost made a mistake there through Moss Corner, running very wide both in between the two corners as well as on exit. So he's definitely feeling a little bit of pressure there.
Yeah, clipped bit of the grass too coming out of Moss Corner, and it's such a difficult corner complex, keep in mind. Going through that run to be able to get the proper exit for this straightaway. If you get it wrong, you put yourself up for grabs and/or potentially have a massive pile up on the corner exit.
And wow, Young right there, just right on the back of John Martin now, closed up about 3 car lengths, and he seems very comfortable getting through the S's right now.
Joe Sinclair Jr. has now parked his machine. He put his car on the tow truck, has jumped out. So there goes second in the points, likely for Sinclair Jr. We'll have to see how the final scoring goes, though. They've now passed by him already on circuit. Keep in mind, John Montgomery looking to squabble now for 6, just passed by Paul Netto in the second pack behind these grouping of cars. Adam Scheck has also grilled on in this pack as well, despite his significant damage. Keep in mind that 407, he's running quicker lap times at points right now than a majority of the cars in front.
Yeah, and that's surprising with the substantial damage he's got to the right front, and a big checkup there from Montgomery going through Moss, and he's going to be feeling some pressure here because I think that Adamczyk and Roth got some great runs behind him.
And it's a great improvement, I will say, for Peter Roth, because he's very new to the service, and that's one of the main things when it comes to PCA Sim Racing is the ability for drivers to learn and be able to share their enthusiasm and love of Porsche cars and race them, virtually especially. Started off around 2020 with the PCA's top level, the UCR now holding its sim racing action on top of things. And for Peter Roth, the first time he broadcast in one of these races a couple rounds ago, it was disastrous. Let's put it that way at Mid-Ohio. The next race improved a lot more. This race, he's kept it nice and clean and has looked like he's learned from his mistakes.
And that's one of the benefits to league racing on iRacing is you get that, not only are you competing against people, but you also are, it's a very friendly community. They love to help each other out, and it's great to see drivers like that improving as the season goes on. He's currently holding the 9th position.
Right up behind him, 10th position is up for grabs. That's where Adam Holland wants a position back. Holland right in the midst of the draft right now of Bowman, looking like he's backing up these corners more than Bowman and nearly launches it into Bowman.
Yeah, it seems like a couple of drivers have different expectations of braking points there for Moss Corner. We've seen a couple times where there's just been a little bit of an accordion effect on corner entry, and then spaces right back out on exits. So that's going to be one of the places to watch as this race goes on, because that launch down the Andretti straightaway is so crucial to getting things right and getting a great lap time here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Holland nearly locked up the brakes, though, thinking about a send from 3 car lanes back. It appeared at the end of the Mario Andretti straightaway. That Matrix Motorsports machine all over the place, trying to battle. Speaking of battles, up the road, Ben Leon has ripped away second, making a move coming out of turn 1 on John Martin, because Martin rode the curbs on the inside, rode the curbs in the grass on the outside, and flipped on back to 3rd position.
Yeah, and going through the S's, it seems like is where Leung is the most comfortable, and he's going to try to just pull away here. Can he do it? Because he's got to go Moss down the straightaway, but once he gets to the S's, he was able to close up every time. Hopefully he can use that to his advantage to try to pull away now that he's actually gotten clear of John Martin.
See if Leon's able to run away. 8.8 seconds the gap between him and Styles. Looking like he's building up already. A 5-car length gap. No pull coming from the draft from behind. Ton at the end of this choo-choo train.
Yeah, just look how much Chan catches up to up to Martin there into the S's. It seems like Martin maybe tries to set himself up a little bit better on exit, but he just lost so much time there, it seemed like, to Chan and Tong.
Absolutely flying right now, some of these drivers at this rate. Martin looking like he's starting to struggle a lot at the moment. His fall off already with some of the mistakes recently, building up to about nearly a full second. Compare that to Styles. Styles' fall off about 4/10 max.
Yeah, and it's been so much fun. You know, Styles might be running his own race and kind of just hot lapping at this point already, but you know, some of these guys back behind him, they're doing everything they can to not let him out of their sight, just in case something does happen. Because we've seen it time and time again. The smallest errors here on iRacing can cause the biggest incidents.
Speaking of errors, in the next pack right behind this one, you see a Gaggle about to battle. John Montgomery had a horrific run coming out of Moss Corner. Paul Netto not able to take advantage, though. Patrick Averchek also struggling with a bit of that damage to get the tow he needs to get side by side in that Sparkle car. Netto thinking about a send, backs it up. Adamchuk going much deeper into the brakes as well, into the corner.
Yeah, these guys really trying to use all the racetrack afforded to them. And now it looks like Adamchuk coming into the pits.
It looks like he's realized something's not working with that damage. There is a faster pair available. In fact, unlimited faster pairs. From the car machine made from Pez machines. That made somewhat sense as the 407 peels on in for the stop regardless.
Going to be interesting to watch what happens now that his strategy is done for. He gets those repairs. He's going to take his full amount of fuel and make this his one stop for the race. I think that he realized how much that was holding him up. And now he's got clean racetrack out in front of him. He's just going to try to hot lap it out there as long as he can, try to make up time with clean air.
He might actually get the chance to jump some drivers at the pace he was running because he's the first now of the drivers to take the scheduled fuel stop. The rest of the field likely coming around the halfway mark, if not around 10 minutes to go, depending on how things fare out. Let's look at another one of the battles. Some of the drivers who have ran part-time and are new to this action, they're starting to group together for 11th on back, and you see things getting intriguing for them. Running around the 117s, 118-second brackets at the moment, but they are having a ball back there at the moment.
And having some fun doing it for sure. And it's really, you know, seeing these battles all throughout the field. Even the newer drivers like Uriadka that we talked about in the pre-race, one of the newest drivers here on the service, and they can, you know, putting up some decent lap times, putting some pressure on, I believe that's Reber in front of him, yes, and definitely going to have to watch and see where things cycle out for him in his debut race here.
Dirksen also has mentioned amongst the newcomers, keep in mind as well in that 7 car, who is very green. How about a week into the service as well, who is joining the fray. And keep in mind when it comes to that 25 machine that's up the road you're referring to, he's had some special articles showcasing his love for Porsche cars, showcased by PCA UCR in the past, which includes collections of older style race cars, modern Porsches, a lot of them. Let's put it that way. He has plenty of cars he has showcased and has been showcased amongst articles in the past.
Yeah, and these guys having some fun. Even, you know, they're not battling at the front of the field, but they're doing everything they can to improve their lap times as the race goes on. And that's one thing that I think that a lot of iRacers do, is they just never settle. Their last lap is never good enough. They always want to keep improving, always want to get faster. They're trying to learn from drivers around them.
Absolutely. Speaking of troubles, though, Terrence Tawn, he's now having a grass excursion. Move Terrence Tawn outside the top 6. He drops back to 7th as a result of a mistake. This was the run through Clayton Corner. And it looks like it was a self-inflicted mistake at first before getting a second blow. Self-inflicted and the blow.
Just unfortunate. Nowhere for the second car in that one to go. And unfortunately, some damage. But they do have that faster pair. They are going to have to take their pit stop for fuel like we mentioned. So going to have to wait and see how that plays out for him. And they've got plenty of racing to try to recover from this mistake.
This pack split in half because of that. Sticky Chan now leads the second pack of major cars grouped together as a result with damage. Coming up towards 20 minutes to go, 17 estimated laps to go for him this time around with the pace these drivers are currently running around the circuit. And to fully specify the 25 machines, love of cars, mentioned the lead for Kanan SIG specifically as the car type he leads the charge for. Into the pit lane, meanwhile, goes Terrence Tawn as he comes in for that scheduled service after those mistakes. We'll see how long he's in the box. 7 seconds as everyone passes on by, including Adam Czech, who has undercut him as a result of his stop.
Yeah, so Adam Czech now with that the clean race car now. He started third. Of course, we saw him have just a little bit of contact early on in the first lap and working his way up through the field, but now he's got to deal with some drivers that they're fighting for position between themselves as well. So for sure, Adam Czech is on his own pace and not really on the same or running much better laps than these guys, but he's got to deal with the 7 and the 25 out in front of him. There you see almost contact between them going through Moss.
And very dicey right now. That's Dirksen he's trying to get around now for 12th position on the racetrack. Finally does. So very close calls right there. Updates when it comes to Joe Sinclair Jr. Meanwhile, shoulder injury is a factor as there have been massive windstorms and tornadoes across the Midwest. Some of those affected include those in Canada, around the province of Ontario, around specifically where many of the members tonight are racing. A lot of thoughts are headed towards the direction of those affected by the storms across both the United States and Canada, entering tonight, the lives lost in turn. With that, pit stops are coming up next. You're watching FTF GG.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Tonight's action of PCA UCR Sim Racing is brought to you by Johnston Research and Performance, your Canadian source for automotive excellence. Justin Prince alongside Chad Irvine tonight, along with the producer Zach Johnson for the final race of the campaign. Pit stops are underway. Christopher Stiles has completed his service with a 7.6 second fuel stop. He leads all the drivers in terms of that pit stop strategy. Ben Leon, that's currently leading on track. Paul Netto is also in the midst of his service. Dirksen, along with Yurid Atka, electing to come on down for very lengthy pit stops this time around as well, more than 20 seconds, indicating with their experience, tires may have came into play as well as wrecks, Chad.
Now, both of them actually had to take a tow back to the pits during that break. They collided. There was actually, I believe it was, Adam Czech was in front or trying to get by them and made contact with Yuriatka. And then Dirksen came together with Yuriatka as they exited Moss. So both of those guys with significant damage. And they're going to have to take the tow back to the pits, get their fast repair, and then get back underway.
'Tonight's action of PCA UCR Sim Racing is brought to you by Johnston Research and Performance, your Canadian source for automotive excellence. Again, it would have been lap 14 coming out of Moss Corner, that incident you're referring to. Terrence Tawn had also tried to pass by them at the same time before everyone sandwiched together moments after the corner. So the 25 and the 7 getting the worst of it. They're now in the pit lane with significant tow times. As a result, here's the replay, and you can see the madness. Starts off about 5-10 seconds before this.
It's just a big checkup into Moss. You see there Adamczyk trying to get by and couldn't do it. And then 3 wide, it's not the easiest place to do it. And unfortunately, it just collects them both into the wall. But that all started with Adamczyk with a very aggressive move going into Moss Corner.
So those drivers in trouble. Jonathan Raber is in the pit lane for his service. As Nicky Chan now has some problems this time.
Wow, we stepped aside to that break, it seems like at the exact wrong time. Surprising to see how everything kind of just lit off like a firecracker. And these guys now, as Styles did take his pit stop, so now he's running in the 5th position. Where is he going to cycle out as everybody else in front of him does still need to stop?
We'll have to see. Keep in mind, Styles only 12 seconds back of Martin and Leon. That's how lightning quick the pace has been for that number 14 throughout the night, and there's a reason. He is right now ready to celebrate a championship. Adam Holland has come on into the pit lane. Raber took a full service stop, it appears, 42 seconds, which will cost him lots of time on the track.
And I think that, you know, if you're one of the guys that's not really competing at the front of the field, maybe just getting some clean laps in, trying to see how the car feels and kind of learn what happens as the tires fall away. That makes sense to take the tires and kind of use this as a learning experience. Adam Holland has been in his box. It looks like he might be taking tires as well. He's been stationary for a significant amount of time.
He also jumped up on the jack, so take Holland out of contention for a lead lap finish at that mark, potentially. Here's the look, meanwhile, at Montgomery. Beating draft now to Styles. 7.6 seconds again, the stop for Styles for reference. Within 1 second now is Styles as well, who's continuing to have a stylishly quick run. Right now, he, compared to the others who have pit so far, has a massive advantage over the rest of the pack, since a majority of the other drivers who have pit have been involved in trouble. But pit stops continue for Montgomery this time, opening the door for Styles.
Yeah, Montgomery's going to make his stop, and Styles now up to 3rd. Got some work to do as John Martin currently leads in the 69, and he's going to be feeling some pressure here from Ben Leong before these guys make their pit stops.
Here's a look at Martin and Leon specifically. 9/10 the separation still. And they've been tightly packed together for much of this run, it seems. And they still have to deal with a little bit of traffic in front before they come on down to pit lane potentially. Again, they're reaching towards the edge of their fuel tanks with Bowman and Holland up the track.
Yeah, it looks like they're 2 of only 3 drivers not to stop, is between Martin and Leong, and then Nicky Chan is the other that is yet to come down pit road. So they're going to make their stops to be back underway shortly as Peter Roth works his way off pit road. Most of these guys up front doing everything they can just to get some laps in here and try to just get some solid times down before they take that extra weight from the added fuel.
They continue to stay out. 10 estimated laps to go that time by the stripe. Under 12 minutes to go now on the clock. Holland now with about 10 car lanes up the track from this grouping, with Bowman now parking it in the middle of the racing line out of Clayton Corner. Near trouble for Martin as he gets around. And now Leon gets checked up.
It's very surprising to see just how Martin just kind of parked at the corner. Then Leon, of course, let him right back by. But man, these guys are going hard at it right now.
Remember, the earliest terms of stint times estimated was about 20 laps having to be made for Patrick Adamczyk. We're approaching their 19th lap starting this time around if they continue at the roll of the track. Dirksen has had a problem in the 7. He's now coming out of the grass. This may get dangerous as he's against the curbs. Leon and Martin get by safely as they'll also pass And allow on by Bowman, should say. So off back onto the track goes Dirksen.
Yeah, very patient there from Dirksen. Great to see that, and not making any more errors trying to rejoin and causing somebody else to have an issue as well. But all that these incidents have done is let Martin open up a bit of a gap. He's got some breathing room behind, so Leung doesn't have to worry about getting into the back of him going when they decide to come down pit road.
So Martin with a lot of breathing room still would not cycle to the net lead based on the timings. There's a chance he doesn't cycle in front of Nicky Chan. Neither of these drivers, in fact, at the rate they're going. Chan, who still has to pit, though. Thought process there. It has been a talking point of drivers maybe trying to stretch it. It's a difficult task to do so, to make it to the end without a stop. See if anyone is daring to do it in the final race.
Yeah, and this is not the easiest track to do it at either, because you were flat out for so much of the lap. There's a bunch of high-speed corners. Of course, the Andretti straightaway is so long as well. And then you got to think about, when you do that, you're actually saving your tires. But here comes Leung back down to pit road.
Leung now down to the pit lane. Way too slow on the entry, though. That was about a full 100 feet before the yellow cone he went pit speed.
Yeah, it's just maybe a little bit of a comfort thing for him, just taking it easy coming into pit road. You're going to have to see where he cycles out, because he's going to be losing a ton of time with that entry. Just wait and see how long he is stationary as he's back out underway, 6.8 on the gun.
7.4 to be precise now as he's off and away. Likely does cycle, yes indeed, in front Terrence Tom by a full 10 seconds or so. Styles still the net leader. Martin and Chan the only drivers yet to pit. And it's going to get interesting when it comes to Martin's case.
Yeah, so he's just going to keep on logging laps, and right now, Martin just... It's going to be interesting to see. It doesn't sound like he's coasting or doing anything to try to save fuel, so I'm not sure if he is...
Oh, this is looking really crazy here, though, with this. Dirksen moves to the right. Styles moves over to the left. Look, for a second, they were nearly following each other line to line to figure out, okay, which law? Are you going left or right? I'll go right. No, you go left. No, we'll both go do this. Peter Ruff is now in the grass. And so is Dirksen. So Dirksen's lost a lot of time, while Roth recovers from his mistake. Under 8 minutes to go.
And Styles has taken that second place back, so he's only 10 seconds off of John Martin. Martin has to make it without stopping if he wants a shot at the win. But Ben Leung did lose the third spot as well to Nicky Chan. Chan, of course, does still have to make their stop.
Dirksen just had to put his car on the tow truck for a second time in the past 5 laps. He just had a crash in through Clayton Corner. So that leaves 13 cars running on the racetrack for the final 7 minutes of this season. This time around, with Styles looking to take the lead the second Martin comes down to the pit lane. Keep in mind, again, it'd be a dominant finish to the season for Styles. Back-to-back race victories, one with some controversy, but this time based on raw pace alone. As there goes Martin, Styles ready to pass on by in the next 5 seconds.
Still a very slow pit entry compared to, say, Christopher Styles, but it was much faster than Ben Leung there to get him down pit road. But Martin's going to lose some time, and he's going to have to see where he cycles back out as he works his way now into his box.
Briatka has now gone into a crash along the tire barrier. Styles drives right on by the 25. And a rough moment comes out of the grass. He's now the last car running on the track, mind you. Of note, Martin has cycled in front of the 000, but Chan is still needing fuel, likely to make it to the end of this race. Right now, with the current deltas that drivers have been seeing, Chan, if he does, like we think, cycle to the pit lane, will likely be around 7th or 8th position.
And by the way, just as we've seen a couple drivers lose there at Clayton Corner where Yuri Yadka just went wide, and it looks like a very simple corner, but the elevation change, just the track just falls away from you as you go into that corner. It makes it so hard to try to keep it between the lines if you miss your braking point by just the slightest amount. But we've seen that catch multiple drivers out here tonight, and it's one of the more difficult corners here at Mosport.
Right with you on that one, especially with some of the challenges we've seen in the past in multiple different types of cars and multiple different types of races. This track is very fast, but also very tricky. Yuriadka has come back down to the pit lane after his troubles. Dirksen is back out of the pit lane after his tow. Give them credit. They still want to finish this race out and finish it strong by taking the checkered flag.
These guys have been putting on great races all season long, and now just under the last 5 minutes, these guys, you mentioned, they want to finish strong, but they want to have fun doing it, and you can't do that if you're parked in the pit lane. Dirksen got back out on track. Yuriadka's still out there as well. But overall, it looks like the only driver to get the stop is Nicky Chan, and Chan goes wide through Moss Corner. It's going to cost a ton of time. I think the tires and the light fuel are causing some issues there for the 000.
Chan with an error mistake. John Martin nearly hit the back end of Robert Bowman at the same time as well. Finally gets clear, but how big was that pit call and how things fared on the strategy? Styles leads by nearly 18 seconds on track. He picked up about 10 seconds during the pit stop sequence.
And it'd be interesting to see how much of that time was made up getting down to pit road speed, because different drivers took that approach very differently, and I think Styles was one of the most aggressive ones out there. But Styles, now you mentioned the huge interval, and I mean, even though pit cycle did allow Martin to pull about 2 seconds out on Leung, they were about nose to tail just before they came down pit road.
Jonathan Raber has just had some trouble from the 12th position. He was in the battle with John Montgomery, not on the same lap, mind you, before he slowed down in the middle of the straightaway, doored Montgomery by going in the middle of the track before letting him and Neto go. So some interesting moments for the Hot Wheels car tonight. Going to be down the front straightaway this past time around. Under 3 minutes to go on the clock for reference. Let's take a look now at this sequence right here. Watch the corner exit. This is weird. Can't tell if he's getting out of the way there, Chad, or something just happened on the acceleration.
I think that he was just trying to get out of the way and didn't realize how little space he left on the left side of the track. Here's one more look at it, and yeah, there's no way that's anything other than letting them pass and just not leaving enough room, because that, with the speed difference there, that's all that I could foresee happening.
No major damage to either car, so that's the bright side, but that puts a little sprinkles into the battle for 6th position between Montgomery and Neto. 2 minutes to go on the clock, couple laps to go.
I think the driver that's got the most to lose right now is Nicky Chan in the 000. Still yet to make their pit stop. They're doing everything they can as they work their way through Moss, and there's another slow driver as they work their way through Moss. That's Robert Bowman. No harm, no foul there for Bowman. Just lost some time on track, and Nicky Chan just has under 2 minutes now to just try to limp home without taking a pit stop. Will it work for the 000 where they look to seek a 4th place finish?
And it'd be an incredible feat, keep in mind, with the pace. Chad is backing it up a lot. That battle for 6th now has 3 cars in the train. Adam Check. He started out so strong, but things have fallen apart for that driver, and quickly since then. An early pit stop, an early chance to take fuel. Very lighter load compared to some of the other drivers right now. And still can't close up to fully get an attack going. Under a minute on the clock. White flag this time by
Adam Check from 3rd to 15th, and now back into 8th, looking for 6th. but running out of time to do it. White flag is out, and it's going to be a fantastic end to what's been a great racing season.
Styles will take that white flag around the start and finish line this time around with the time on the clock. Here comes the run from Adamczyk, all while Styles gets the run of the Mario Andretti straight away to get ready for the white. Here comes Adamczyk along the left side of the racetrack out of Quebec corner. Will Neto give him the space? Yes, he will, but Adamczyk bins it. With the white flag waving, Adamczyk bins the car again.
Wow. It was a very aggressive move, and he was looking at it for a long time, but unfortunate for Adamczyk. I don't know that he's going to lose any positions out of it, but that's just unfortunate to see because he was running so good, trying to charge his way back through the field.
As mentioned, the final lap is now underway with Styles taking the white at the start and finish line. He'll look to close things out with half a lap to go. With the way they run, Sinclair would still hold on to second in the championship. John Martin still would finish third in the points. But for Christopher Styles, he's had the pace since the drop of the green flag for the campaign. He now looks to try and add another victory on the way to a title. Coming through the final sector of the season, Christopher Styles. He put on a clinic at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He'll win the championship and the final race of the season all at once. He wins at Mosport in the PCA UCR Sim Racing Series.
And a fantastic drive once again from Christopher Styles, winning by about 20 seconds over John Martin. And a lot of these guys still yet to finish as Martin now through the final corner. As we look further back, this is the battle, one of the battles further on back. These guys are just having some fun with it, not letting the end of this race ruin their fun.
It's the battle for ninth for reference. Nicky Chan, by the way, just made it to the end of the race without a pit stop in the 000 for fourth. Martin Leon rounded out the podium. Incredible for Chan to make it without a stop, but now the battle is on. Locking now underway between these drivers to end off their seasons. Holland looking for ninth. Roth looking for his best run in the past few weeks.
And Roth very defensive there through the S's. Now I think that Roth is going to be able to hold it because you're really going to have to send a lunge in the final corner. If you're Holland, goes around the outside, tries the crossover, cannot get it done. And Peter Roth going to take home the 9th position here from Mosport.
Holland rounds out the lead lap for the final time this season, but it's Christopher Styles who will be the champion for the season. A dominating run from start to finish. He clinches it with his run tonight and how he performed right from the get-go. Absolute domination throughout the campaign for him as we look at your unofficial race results. 21.7 seconds the difference between him and John Martin. By the end of the night, with Ben Leon holding on to third, Nicky Chan without a pit stop finishing fourth, Terrence Ton in fifth, Montgomery, Neto, Adamczyk, Roth, Holland rounds out your top 10 tonight.
In the 11th spot is going to be Robert Bowman, followed by Jonathan Reber. Those guys both finished 1 lap down. Then Yuri Adka, 2 laps down, followed by Derek Dirksen, 3 laps down. And Joe Sinclair, we mentioned his issues earlier on in the show. He finished all of 7 or so laps here tonight before taking the final 15th position.
And as mentioned, a championship has now been decided with things closing out officially with Styles dominating and trying to put some flair and style into some of these races this campaign. He'll get the chance to celebrate about as a result of that performance. But post-race coverage coming up in just the next moment or so. Stick around. You're watching FTF GG.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to FDFGG for post-race coverage for PCA UCR Sim Racing and its series brought to you by Johnston Research and Performance, your Canadian source for automotive excellence. Justin Prince alongside Chad Irvine with Zach Johnson, our producer this evening, as it's Christopher Stiles who ends up taking home the checker flag in this one tonight. Absolute domination from start to finish for him to close out the campaign. He was tough to try and beat all year, let's put it that way, and all season.
Yeah, it was a fantastic run from Christopher Stiles, and that performance was definitely worthy of a championship on its own. Fantastic bit of driving there from the 14. Can't wait to see what happens next season out.
Now, right now, Zach Johnson is in the midst of his points calculations to confirm how everything has shuffled about, but it was a stellar drive regardless for a majority of these drivers for tonight in terms of how things played out, in terms of how the battles fared out. But in the end, we can say one thing. Christopher Stiles, you're a champion. How does it feel?
I basically feel like Max Verstappen. I know how he feels now.
So good?
Oh, fantastic. I've got a garage full of Red Bull, and I think I'll be up late tonight.
Talk us through the race tonight here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, because you broke the draft within half a first sector.
Yep, I was hoping we were going to have a good race tonight with Nikki participating and John Martin there as well, and Patrick behind me. But obviously they got caught up in a wreck in turn 2, and that was it. I kept a clean race most of the night, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go door to door with anybody. But unlike last weekend, I didn't want to slow down and have fun with the guys, because there was quite a race for P3 in the championship. So I didn't want to have any negative input into how that turned out.
So overall, when it comes to a series like this, of course you had the speed, but of course a lot of this is, for some, getting the chance to race against people who have the same common love, Porsche and its cars. Your thoughts on having a series like this for the Upper Canada region side of the divisions in various regions of Porsche Club of America, I should say.
Oh, it's a perfect match. I mean, everybody here, I think for the most part, is a track enthusiast with their Porsche, and we spend all summer hanging out together in the paddock at Mosport, and it's pretty awesome to be able to hang out with the guys and sim race all winter, and continue to lie to each other about our lap times all year long, not just in the summer.
With that, anyone you want to thank for your championship run for this campaign and your victory tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Paul Nito for organizing this all for us, and the guys at JRP for sponsoring it for us, and Nikki and Liam for not participating much this season, which gave me a chance to win the championship.
Once again, congratulations, Christopher. Can tell you with the points differential, 161 points with the drop now calculated. That puts you up over Joe Sinclair Jr. for the championship. Congrats.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Let's go. Chris Stiles comes away with the championship in the final race victory of the campaign. That differential referring to nearly 40 points, by the way, in that regard. But Chad Irvine has some bad news in the battle for second of the points because it was close between Joe Sinclair Jr. and John Martin. Chad is now with John Martin to break the news.
Yeah, John, unfortunately, with the way things shook out at the end of that race, Joe Sinclair got you by 1 point. I'm sure that's got to be disappointing after such a great performance.
It's very disappointing. He's a very bad faith competitor, and I wanted very badly to beat Mr. Sinclair. So, no, he's quite the opposite. He's a gentleman, and he's much faster than me, so it's well deserved by him.
Tell us a little bit about your race, because it looked like Christopher Stiles just pulled away right off the bat. You guys didn't have anything for him, but you were battling hard with a couple of drivers there throughout that race. Kind of walk us through your strategy.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I was the cork in the bottle after the incident in T2 between Nicky and Patrick. And Nicky was the only, but maybe Nicky and Patrick were the only ones that could have given Chris a run for his money. Nicky for sure. So once they were pushed back, then it was just sort of us midfield to fight it out. And I felt bad that I was defending so hard at the beginning of the race for so long, but I don't know, I watched the F1 today and Checo Perez did such an admirable job. I thought, screw it, it's the last race. I'll make them work to pass me. And Ben got me at one point after a mistake and then kept ahead for a long time. But then I got lucky enough to get it back and keep it.
Yeah, it was a great battle to watch, and watching you guys fight the entire time. Nicky Chen made it the entire race without a pit stop. Did you ever that thought ever cross your mind about trying that?
No, and none of us even knew that Nicky was doing it. He was still quick, even when he was lifting and saving fuel. So that was a big surprise. I think if he had a few liters more, he probably would have had the rest of us, because I came out of the pits only just a second and a half ahead of him. So it was his for the taking. But no, I was always going to take a pit stop. It was this is a tough track for me. I think I'm the only fake Canadian out of this group of Canadians, so I always get nervous. These guys all know Mosport like the back of their hand and seem so steady on there. So it was just nervous the whole time. You know, you're just on edge. The tires are going off towards the end of the race, and turn 2 is just real scary coming over the crest there. So I was just lucky that I got enough of a gap that I could take the rest of the race at 8 and 9/10. So I had a lot of fun though.
It was a ton of fun to watch, and unfortunately, you didn't get the second in the championship results, but still a very respectable third place finish there, and second tonight. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, well, we thank Paul and the admins for putting this together. Thanks to you guys for putting on a good show, even though we made it tough for you the last couple of weeks. And obviously thanks to John Montgomery and to Johnston Research and Performance for sponsoring this thing. I think if as soon as I can convince any of these guys to give me a seat in one of their real life cars, I'll be heading over to JRP to pick up some gear.
Hey, congratulations, and best luck. Hopefully we'll see you out here next season.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
That's John Martin, your second place finisher here at Motorsport.
Incredible run for him, and an incredible season for him in general. Ben Leon came home in third to close out the campaign, and for him, can tell you this, it was a top 5 points finish by the end of the night, but I'm not sure if you want to hear this, Ben. How close was it for the points? How about the separation between first, or rather second, all the way back to fifth, exiting the night, covered up by just a spread of about 3-4 points? How are you feeling about tonight in general?
Well, tonight, going into the race, I didn't even look at the points or calculate, what I needed to finish to, be top 3 or 4. Just tried my best to race. I didn't realize it was that close at the finish, but looks like everybody's 1 point apart.
Yeah, very tight when it comes to the finishing standings with the drop now included based on the calculations. How would you describe the challenges of the race tonight? Because it wasn't easy sledding for you, it seemed, for parts of the evening.
I think I drove a pretty clean race, but I felt my tires started to go the last third of the race. And I was talking to John, and I think he felt the same thing. We were 4 seconds apart, but I just couldn't make up any more time without going off.
So overall, your thoughts on how the season played out for you as a whole? What in turn did you feel you learned and could take towards your next runs in sim racing action, whether under the PCA banner or in PCA UCR even?
So this is actually just my first year in iRacing, actually exactly 12 months now. So I've learned a lot over time. I mean, looking back at my first race a year ago, definitely learned a lot about racecraft. It's not, all about, who has the fastest lap time. That obviously helps, but just, learning where to be and staying out of trouble. It's helped me grow a lot as a racer.
Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
I just want to thank all the UCR guys, and had a lot of fun just racing the whole season with them, and even the ones that joined me with at the national PCA races. Give each other supports, and you guys for doing such a good job with the broadcasts. Thank you, and JRP for sponsoring the UCR league. That was it's great.
Once again, congratulations on this strong points finish. Once again, congratulations on the podium to round things out.
Thank you, Justin.
It's Ben Leon rounding out the top three tonight. I'd like to thank him, along with John Martin, and your champion and race winner, Christopher Stiles, for joining us during post-race coverage. Now, Chad, let's take a look at how the standings fared out. Look at how tight second through sixth ended.
I mean, that's incredible. I've seen close points finishes between one or two drivers, or just a couple here and there, but having four drivers separated by just 4 points is spectacular. I mean, even if you throw Adam Check in there, 9 points between second and sixth is just incredible.
An absolutely thrilling fight when it comes to that grouping from second on back. And good to see Joe Sinclair Jr., even with some of the troubles tonight, holding on to second. We'll give him that credit. But with that, the championship has come to a close for this season. And with that, it means it's time to say goodbye. We'd like to thank you for tuning in into tonight's action for the Porsche Club of America and its Upper Canada Region Sim Racing Series, presented by Johnson Research and Performance, your Canadian source for automotive excellence. For my co-announcer tonight in Chad Irvine, or Zach Johnson, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Congratulations once again to Christopher Stiles, your champion of this season. You've been watching FTFGG. Enjoy the rest of your night.